Greetings from the Shivananda Yoga Vedanta Centers. We are very happy and honored to contribute towards the Yoga Mahotsav 2022, 94 days to the International Day of Yoga. Our presentation includes a speech by our guest of honor, Dr. IV Basavaraddi of the Morarji Desai National Institute of Yoga in India, and 3 talks by our senior teachers. First, Sri P.C. Kapoor, the director of our Shivananda Nataraja Center in New Delhi, and also member of the Indian Yoga Association Executive Committee. Our second speaker is by Ms. Parvati, a co-director of the Shivananda Meenakshi Ashram in Madurai. She'll be talking about yoga for health. And our third speaker is Nirmala Chaitanya, one of our senior teachers, who will be speaking about yoga for empowerment of women. We hope that you find these talks helpful and interesting, and with a prayer for the well-being of all in this world. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu.
Namaste. Hearty welcome to you all. I am so happy to address you all on the countdown program of International Day of Yoga for 2022. You all aware that 100 days countdown was inaugurated by Honourable Union Minister for Ayush, Sri Sarbanand Sonowal ji, at the very lecturing function on 13th March 2022 at prestigious Vijnan Bhavan, New Delhi, which was attended by the Union Minister, Chief Minister of 2 states, and Union State Ministers, Yoga Masters, and many. So, what is the importance of this countdown program? We have already completed 7 episodes of International Day. We are moving forward for the 8th. So, every year government comes up with a new theme. Nearly for 100 days, the leading yoga institutions, education institutions, government organizations, autonomous organizations, the uniformed personnel, children, corporate, management, and banking personnel, everybody. So we start involving them, motivating them to aware about yoga, practice yoga regularly. So that's why in these 100 days, almost all stakeholders from different walks of life, they join on one day specifically, then practice and disseminate the knowledge and skill of yoga for health and well-being. Therefore, this time we have come up with a motto of 100 days, 100 cities, and 100 organizations. So here we have chosen Shivananda. It's one of the very important, prestigious organization with a lineage. So you are doing it in a wonderful city, an iconic place. So whatever you are doing, it's going into the global promotion of your city, your iconic places. This year with this IDY, we are not only practicing yoga but also promoting the local important iconic places for the world population. So because yoga is our cultural heritage, we have several cultural sites, heritages, nearly 40 UNESCO recognized cultural sites, and many iconic places many people doesn't know. That's why this year Honourable Prime Minister on the eve of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav would like to promote these places by integrating them with the activities of the International Day of Yoga 2022. That's why we have selected your city and organization. So what is the importance of International Day of Yoga? As you know, yoga is our culture. It teaches us how to live better as a family, how to live in the social environment, how to protect the nature and make our life comfortable. All these things are involved. Therefore, when Honourable Prime Minister of India requested the world population on 27th of September 2014, appealing to adopt a resolution to declare one day as International Day of Yoga. So with this, with the diplomacy, within the very short period of less than 3 months, on 14th December 2014, in its 69th United Nations General Assembly adopted June 21st as International Day of Yoga, which is the longest day, by the consensus of 177 countries anonymously. That is the unique things happen. That is the acceptability of yoga across the globe. Every community, every nation, every structure appreciate the impact of yoga on their life. Therefore, this is the universal thing for the whole humanity. Therefore, United Nations has declared hundreds of days as a celebration, international days, world days. But yoga is unique. On that day, millions of people across the globe practice yoga for 45 minutes, 1 hour, and make their yoga as their way of life. They make the resolution. That's the importance of the day. Then slowly, slowly it has become a mass demonstration. You are practicing at indoor, but on that day you are going to practice in the public all together, thousands of people. You can see on the first International Day of Yoga, more than 40,000 people has practiced yoga in the Rajpath along with the Honourable Prime Minister. Then onwards it's an history. In many places there are 40,000, 50,000, 1 lakh, 2 lakh people together practice one common yoga protocol under one banner, one shelter. That is the samatvam, that is the unique identity of yoga, uniqueness of yoga, bringing all together on wonderful platform. That is the beauty of International Day. The second important aspect of International Day of Yoga celebration is, it is for health and well-being. If you practice half an hour or 45 minutes of yoga, it prevents many of the non-communicable disorders. And if you regularly practice it, morning and evening pranayama, so we can eat well, digest well, absorb well, our metabolic activities become very, very perfect. We can get a good sleep, then we have a sensual pleasures. We live for happiness. That enhances our happiness quotient. This happiness quotient leads to a mental peace. That means total satisfaction. That means physical and mental well-being is the impact of regular practice of yoga, which you cannot purchase in the market. It is not a capsule available in the medical store. It is to be developed and make it a part of our life, dinacharya. This is the second important dimension of International Day of Yoga. And third, there are many, I will conclude with third. What is that? Third important is, nowadays we need to manage the stress management, the family management, personality management, and in the different environmental condition, we have to manage our so much of management. Now we come up with a 5 minutes yoga break protocol. Practice it for the workplace stress management, 5 minutes twice a day. Then WHO come up with our institution, Morarji Desai, National Institute of Yoga, in association Ministry of Ayush, and WHO, we come up with 45 minutes, 30 minutes and 10 minutes protocols for well-being. If you have 5 minutes, do it. 20 minutes, do it. Half an hour, do it. 45 minutes. Now this technology, different apps, our institution, our ministry has come up with. They are in the public domain, validated, perfect. Practice them. Make a way of life. Manage daily routine. Manage your personality. Anger management. So stress management, and manage your whole organization by improving the personality. Therefore, this time our Honorable Prime Minister would like to join as part of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, would like to expand our activities to the very unique places like what you are doing now, and making it a tourist spot. People can aware how rich our culture, how rich our places which having the heritage. So that's why we have come up with 100 days, 100 cities, 100 organization, 100 iconic heritage points. I thank the Shivananda Ashram for accepting our invitation in a very short notice. You are organizing a wonderful program here on behalf of Ministry of Ayush, on behalf of Morarji Desai National Institute of Yoga, a premier yoga institute of Government of India, and on my own behalf and my colleagues, I wish this event, 94th day event, a grand success. I do hope that the event what you perform would able to place you, your place in the world map of tourism. Wish you all the best. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Namah Shivaya. Yoga Mahotsav 2022 is to commemorate the countdown to the International Day of Yoga 2022. Yoga has so many meaning. Yoga means the union between the individual self to the Supreme Self, or to the Jivatma with the Paramatma. So one of the meaning of yoga is to discipline ourselves. So when we practice yoga asanas, they discipline the body. The yogic pranayam disciplines the breath, and the meditation, it disciplines the mind. Swami Vishnudevanand, founder of the Shivanand Yoga Vedanta Ashrams and Center, said that health is wealth, peace of mind is happiness. Yoga shows the way. How yoga shows the way? If we practice the 5 natural principles in our day-to-day life. And those 5 natural principles are: if we do proper asanas, that is exercise every day, if we do pranayam, that is proper breathing every day, if we do proper relaxation every day, and if we take a proper diet, that is sattvic diet every day, and if we have got positive thinking and meditative mind, then we are happy and healthy. So there is nothing beyond these 5 natural principles which can make someone healthy and happy. So what is proper exercise or proper asanas? There are number of, physical culture exercises or the system they are designed to develop the muscles through the mechanical movement of the different parts of the body. But yoga, as you know, regards this body as a vehicle to the soul which is in journey towards the perfection. So the yogic asanas, they are designed not only to develop the body, they also broaden the mental faculties and the spiritual capacities. Muscle development is not necessary, is a means to the healthy body. Health is more properly viewed as a state of where all the organs they function in a proper way. When we do yogic asanas, it not only helps in developing the body muscles, but also it controls or it works on the internal organs. The yogic asanas, they work on the endocrine system and the nervous system and keep them healthy. Asana means the steady posture, which is quite in advance. But initially, the purpose of practicing asana is to look after the flexibility, the strength and the health of the spine. The more flexible the spine is, the more healthier and strong the spine is, more young we are. We have seen in children where the spine is very flexible, how active they are. So once we grow, our spine becomes stiffer and we become stiff both in mind as well as in the body. So the yogic asanas, they work on the health of the spine and the flexibility of the spine. So asanas works on internal machinery of the body. They work on the glands and the organs. So the practice of asanas also helps in controlling the mind, because we are doing consciously the asanas. So that is the purpose of doing the asanas. Then we come to, that is asanas, they discipline the body by this way. And when we do proper breathing, that is pranayam. So what is pranayam? Pranayam is the knowledge and the control of the prana. What is prana? Prana is a vital energy. So when we do consciously the breathing, it looks after, it helps us in restoring more prana into the body. So when the prana movement is very smooth and it is not obstructed, we are happy and healthy. They say that what is disease? Disease is a defect of the flow of prana into the body. So that is about when we do consciously the breathing pranayam. So it controls our breath, and when the breath is controlled, the mind becomes calm, which further help us in controlling the mind, and we can have a wonderful day throughout. And then is the what is proper relaxation. There are several ways of relaxation, but in a yogic way, the relaxation or shavasana we call it is comprised of the three type of relaxation. First is the physical relaxation, the mental relaxation and the spiritual relaxation. When all these three are practiced together, it gives us complete relaxation and helps us in overcoming all the anxiety, tension and stress. So what is physical relaxation? As you know, that every action is the result of the thought. A thought, when we are stressed, when we are approaching a deadline, we are stressed. So all it has got an effect on the internal organs of the body. So Physical relaxation is when we know that the relaxation or tension, which is the opposite, or contraction is the opposite to the relaxation, and it comes from the thought. So once we imbibe a thought of relaxation, and that we do by auto-suggestion, if we imbibe a thought that I am relaxing my toes and feet, my toes and feet are relaxing, my toes and feet are relaxed. So this way we relax consciously, we send the thought, which we have a thought in the mind, and that thought goes to the brain, and then brain through the nerves give the or takes the impulses to that part of the body, and the muscles are relaxed. So that is the physical relaxation by auto-suggestion, repeating mentally ourselves. Then what is mental relaxation? Mental relaxation, so whenever we have a mental stress, anxiety, what happens to the breath? The breath becomes very irregular. So once we watch the breath, once we are a witness to the breathing, it slows down, we slows down the breathing consciously, and once the breathing becomes smooth, slow, then the mind becomes calm. That is a mental relaxation. So however we may try to relax the mind, all tensions and worries cannot be completely removed until one reaches a spiritual relaxation. So spiritual relaxation, as long as we identify with this body and the mind, which results into anxiety and tension, so we have to relax, we have to detach ourselves from this body and mind consciously. How do we do it? After relaxing physically by auto-suggestion, mental relaxation by controlling the breath, we relax spiritually by repeating to ourselves that I am not this body, I am not this mind, I am not this body, I am not this mind. By this way, we are detaching ourselves from this body and the mind. So, but the mind is still working and says that who we are. So then we repeat to ourselves that we are the all-powerful, the all-joyful, the all-blissful. We are the Atman, the Self, the pure consciousness, the Sat Chit Anand I am. So when we practice all these three things and we detach ourselves from this body and mind, we are completely relaxed. Then the fourth point is proper relaxation, which helps us keeping a good health and peace of mind. That is the proper diet. So what is a yogic diet? A yogic diet is a natural diet which provides the right quality and quantity of proteins, carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, fatty acids, fibers, etc. So this is a yogic diet. And then sattvic diet is there, as it is said, we become what we eat. So that proper diet. And then the last point, once we practice these first four natural principles, then is the meditation and the positive thinking. As you know that when the surface of the lake is disturbed by the waves, we cannot see what is at the bottom of the lake. So the same way, the mind lake, the ripples or the waves are the thoughts. So once we remove these thoughts from the mind lake, then we can see, then we can connect, then we can experience the self. The nature of the self, as you know, is the Sat Chit Anand, absolute existence, knowledge and bliss. So everyone has got a power of concentration. We concentrate on one divine thought. Everybody has got a power of concentration. Either we concentrate internally or externally. Externally we definitely concentrate. There are so many things in our day-to-day life when we do and concentrate on the external things. And then again we have seen it when we focus on the external thing, this also gives some peace of mind. But to get a permanent peace of mind, it is definitely important to concentrate on our inner self or the Atman. So once we experience that, so that gives us a peace of mind, and which leads to the happiness. That is why Swami Shivananda or Swami Vishnudevananda has said that the health is wealth, peace of mind is happiness, yoga shows the way. So practice asanas, proper breathing, proper relaxation, proper diet, and positive thinking and meditation. So thank you very much. Om Namah Shivaya. हो गया?
Om Namah Shivaya. My name is Parvati and I'm a staff here at Shivananda Yoga Vedanta Meenakshi Ashram in Madurai. And today I am here to talk to you a little bit about yoga for health. But before I proceed further, first we need to have a better understanding about what health is and also what yoga is. Because there are so many misconceptions around these two words, that is yoga and health. If you ask different people, they will be having different ideologies about what health means for them. For some people, if you are exercising regularly means that is a sign of being healthy. If they are eating properly means that is enough for being healthy. And for some people, they also say that if they stay very positive in their lives, in the midst of all the negativities, then some people consider that as being healthy. Whereas the real concept, to understand the real concept, we need to actually go beyond all this. The WHO actually gives a definition for health as it is not just the absence of any physical illness or infirmity, but it is a state of complete physical, mental, social, and spiritual well-being. That's what the WHO tells us. And then in Ayurveda also, they have a definition for health. They say that whenever the doshas in our physical body is balanced, so the doshas are something that are formed with a combination of various elements that make up our physical body. And when these doshas are in equilibrium, Ayurveda, the science of Ayurveda says that a person would be healthy. But, so that is a general idea about health. But our teacher Swamiji, Swami Vishnu, he used to actually talk about health using a very famous quote. He used to tell, health is wealth, peace of mind is happiness, and yoga shows the way. So, but how does yoga show the way to health? And that is where he actually designed the 5 points of yoga. That is the proper exercise, proper breathing, proper relaxation, proper diet, positive thinking, and meditation. So if you look at these 5 points, maybe individually only we consider like each points are only essential for a person to stay healthy. But Swamiji actually suggested that we need a combination of all these 5 points so that we can maintain our health. And of course, proper exercise, how is it that we can do proper exercises? Whenever you are comfortable with any physical activity that you do, then that becomes a proper exercise. And that comfort level actually you can see in the asana practice that we are doing. And then proper breathing, we all are breathing, all time we all are breathing, the reason why we all are alive. But Swamiji told that is not proper breathing. Proper breathing happens when you try to breathe to your full lung capacity, which we do normally with the pranayama practice. And then proper relaxation. Some people might think sleeping would be an ideal means of relaxation. But here Swamiji is introducing something called as Shavasana, or the corpse pose, where we are aware and at the same time we are not doing or engaging in any physical movements. So that becomes a proper relaxation combined with awareness and consciousness. Then the 4th point is proper diet. So in a yogic lifestyle, if you are practicing all these yogic practices, it's ideal that you go for a vegetarian diet, because you can really feel the changes and the benefits that you can derive with these practices only when you are on a vegetarian diet. And finally, of course, positive thinking and meditation. When you follow all the above 4 points properly, then naturally you become a positive person, and that will in turn help you to meditate. But then why is it that we should meditate? That is where we need to understand the definition of health as per yogic science. In yoga, health is defined as swasthya. The term swasthya is a Sanskrit term, and the meaning of that term is you abide in your own self. When you abide in your own self, you are healthy. And in yoga, it is said that the natural nature of everyone's self is everlasting happiness, permanent bliss. So when you abide in that self, then naturally you become happy, and that makes you actually healthy. So that all this, finally we'll be reaching that stage where we try to realize ourselves or abide in ourselves only with the practice of these 5 points of yoga as designed by Swami Vishnudevanandaji. And also in all this, we also need to think of one more aspect of it from a yogic point of view. Swami Shivanandaji in his famous book Thought Power told that when you sow a thought, you reap an action. When you sow an action, you reap a habit. When you sow a habit, you reap a character. And when you sow a character, you reap your destiny. So starting from the thoughts, we reach up to the level of our destiny. So it's like it starts with something as simple as the thoughts that are happening in our mind. And all these 5 points also ensures that our thinking is proper, our actions are proper, and when everything happens in a proper manner for a period of time, that becomes our habit, and it ultimately becomes our character, which finally becomes our destiny. So that is how yoga defines health, even though there are so many definitions and they are in a way right. But in yoga, we are actually trying to combine together all the concepts that are actually circulated around with respect to the term health. And that is why yogic practices are considered like most important in our day-to-day life so that we can remain healthy. Hope it was informative, and thank you so much. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. My name is Nirmala Chaitanya, and I'm here at the Shivananda Meenakshi Ashram. This is in Madurai, Tamil Nadu. And I'm going to talk a little bit today about yoga for women's empowerment. And these are bold things to say, bold words to speak. And so we should start by having an idea about what women's empowerment means. And basically, we can say it's something that helps us promote women's self-worth, ability for women to determine our own choices in life without any limitation from the external structures or forces, and a right to influence social change. So that can be for ourselves or for others. But also in a kind of subtle way, accepting women's viewpoints and making an effort to seek them out. So we want the view of women and we want to know what their opinions are on the things. This is a kind of globally accepted idea of women's empowerment. And so at this point, it's 2022 now. We've seen several waves of feminism starting in the like 1800s, 1900s. And so the first movements were around getting women the ability to vote, the suffragette movement. And then in the 1960s, there was a kind of resurgence, women in society, finding their roles within the society. 1990s, another wave, and it still continues today. In fact, we know this kind of famous statement now, nevertheless, she persisted. So one thing that we can say is that if we're talking about women's empowerment today, it kind of means that we don't have it just yet. The fact that we talk of it, and that means that some women may be more empowered, others may not be. So the fact of empowerment may not be evenly distributed among women from all the places and all the social classes and such. So So that is something that still needs to be addressed. We can never say that feminism is not important. And so some statistics that are a little interesting: 750 million women and girls alive today were married before the age of 18. This is around the world globally. 1 in 5 women have experienced physical or sexual violence in the last 12 months. And 23.7% of representation of women in politics. So that means that we haven't achieved a sort of equal representation in the structures that make decisions in our society. So there's much work to be done. In India in particular, there's a challenge to patriarchal systems, but there's also a long history of like matriarchal and matrilineal societies within India. So there's much here in India of interest and a history that we can draw on in this area of interest. But there are certainly, we can say there are a lot of hierarchical systems within the family, within the communities in India. And so we can ask, in fact, India has a national policy for the empowerment of women from 2001. And this includes, interestingly, a kind of holistic approach to women's health, drawing on traditional knowledge of health. And of course, this includes yoga, healthcare, nutrition, and alternative Indian systems of medicine. So among that, we have Siddha, we have homeopathy, we have Ayurveda that we can draw on. So what does yoga have to offer? How does yoga relate to women's self-empowerment? And this is a very interesting thing to consider. I think that obviously yoga works on the individual. We're talking about the Atman, the soul. So we're not talking about that soul as being gendered. And if we understand the teachings, we know that we may have been in different lifetimes, very different genders. So being a woman will afford certain experiences in this life, but the soul itself, the Atman, is not gendered. And so this is what we deal with in yoga primarily, is discovering who we are. The practices certainly help us to become stronger, to understand where we are in the world, how we can figure out who we are. So we develop a kind of strength, and that strength can certainly do wonderful things both for women and for men. I'll start with a quotation today. This is by Mary Wollstonecraft, an English writer and an advocate for educational and social equality for women. And she says, "I do not wish women to have power over men, but over themselves." And so in some way, this is relating to the practices of yoga. We can say that in yoga, the majority of the practitioners are women. We see that today. Perhaps traditionally, historically, more men were doing, but today, certainly, it's majority of women that are attracted to the practices. For various reasons, I suppose, mostly for health. Sometimes the reasons are maybe not so broad. The reasons could be wishing for weight loss or wishing to be more healthy in various ways. But that is usually the thing that will get us in the door and get us to start practicing. And that's when we really can learn who we are. Women have always been practicing yoga. There are some nice instances of women who took up the practice, nice historical examples within India. And today, I think women are coming to the practice maybe a little more practically speaking, and this is a good thing. Maybe women are coming to the practice thinking, well, this is something that I can do. This is a way that I can influence my community. This is something I can do to earn an income. And that's certainly possible today. But I think one of the things, this is me speaking personally, I think we need to have a conversation about women on the path and what that means. Is it different to walk the path of yoga as a woman than as a man? What are the challenges? Because when our society presents challenges or a certain inequality for women, or maybe lack of consideration of women's viewpoint, that can be reflected in yoga as well. Although the ideals of yoga are very lofty, we can certainly find that in yoga as well. And in fact, there are many hierarchical structures within yoga organizations and with among practitioners even. So it is a conversation that I think needs to happen. Is it different to walk as a woman within these structures? Even if I renounce life, even if I renounce sort of the everyday things of life, having a family or earning a living, there are still structures that we participate in within our communities and within the society as a whole. There are some very interesting things happening. There are interesting conversations happening within the Buddhist community, actually, where women have traditionally not had the same level of ordination available to them, training available to them, even teaching opportunities, learning opportunities. So at the moment, this is something that's quite interesting, is that these conversations are starting to happen. You know, some people are developing monasteries and places for women to follow the practices in a formal way that will allow them these opportunities. So the conversation is very present and very immediate, let's say. The Hindu tradition has generally treated women monastics the same way as male monastics, which is very encouraging. And of course, our yoga tradition is so connected to the Hindu practices. Our own Swami Shivananda, in fact, initiated a lot of women, or a number of women, into sannyas. And in fact, even ordained like Western women into sannyas at the time. And so sometimes that was a little bit ridiculed. People felt, you know, why is he doing this? You know, these people are not Hindu, or they're not following our practices. But he felt, in a sense, that this is the kind of encouragement that people needed to bring themselves up out of a less desirable state, perhaps. So we do know that the structures within yoga can also give a person a certain freedom from these kind of everyday structures if they want it, and also a kind of strength and self-confidence that helps them. So our Swami Shivananda, the fact that he was aware of this and wanted to promote this among women is very interesting. So being a yogi, I would say, has always been a very radical move. It's a radical step away from everyday life. And so the fact that that can be available to women equally is very important. It's a choice, of course. And I would say the beauty in yoga is that we can take it in whichever way we want. We can consider that we're just stretching a little bit, or maintaining the health, maintaining the physical body, and that's fine. Or we can take it to, you know, a more pronounced state where we are looking, who am I? What is my position in the world? Where do I stand? What do I want out of life? And how can I serve my community better? So these are the things that we can understand from yoga. I would say that in some ways, this is coming from a study of the energetic, we can say the astral body, or the energetic system of the body, the chakras, that in some ways perhaps it is my belief that a women's physiology may be a little better suited to the practices. And that is a radical statement as well. But I think that women, because of the nature of our bodies, we're capable of bearing children. We're capable of growing life itself from within us. And that aspect, I think, is with every woman, whether she chooses to have a family or not. But that ability to focus inside, I think, comes to us from a very young age. And so I think the practices in some ways are innate within women, that ability to focus, that ability to understand ourselves at the different levels, not just at the physical body, but at the energetic level, at the spiritual level, or the causal level. And so the inner workings of the body are understood, and also the energetics of the astral body are understood. What we know about yoga, and is sometimes not said, is that when we practice, we're building self-confidence and self-love. It's a very important thing, developing mental, physical, spiritual strength. And that knowledge that we gain, that change, it starts within. So if I have a feeling that my society is unequal or not balanced, then I need to look within first, create that balance within myself, that mental peace within myself, that strength, and then I'm better able to go out and serve the society in various ways. So when it comes to women's empowerment, I would say that we need to develop the voices of women. We need to develop the unique perspectives and give a platform for those perspectives to come out. So the question could be asked, is yoga enough? Can I just do some practices, some asanas, some pranayama, and become empowered? And I don't think that's strictly speaking true. I'll be perfectly frank there. We need to go inside, develop that strength, and then what our voice is, the true voice, our true nature, can come out and better serve the society. And so I think that we do need to elevate women's voices. We need to create the platforms in which women are listened to, their perspectives are appreciated and integrated into the very fabric of our whole society, our political systems, educational system, in every way. And of course, those who have access to a little more structure, a little more platforms, support, their voices are heard more, do need to advocate for women that may not have that. So, but I think in a general sense, we need to elevate those women's voices. So women need to sit equally at all the tables where decisions are made. And I do think that yoga has an important role to play. So I wanted to try a little something today on the camera. And so if you're watching this, you can join me. And it's a kind of, perhaps a way of starting an investigation. It is said that at the start of the yoga practice, we need to know, where do I stand? And this is a question that might be quite relevant to women listening. Where do I stand in the world? And that doesn't mean I am better than this person or worse than this person. It doesn't mean that I necessarily approach it with ego. But where do I stand? Where do I find myself within my family? Where do I find myself within my community? Where do I stand within my culture, I suppose? And that is not just something that's intellectual that we consider within the mind. This is something that we want to feel also. We can also say, in a sense, what is my connection to the environment? We know that the environment is every part of us. All the elements are within my own self. So it is, in a way, also connecting to the earth. We can say the Mother Earth. We can say the environment around me. So a good investigation at the start of the practice can be, where do I stand? And we don't just think it, but we feel it. So I'd like to invite you to join me. I'm going to stand up. And I'll say before we start, this is something that we often say in yoga, something about grounding. And grounding is very important. This is very much connected to this idea of where do I stand. But just for inspiration before we start, I'll tell you that must be 2 years back now, there was the first ever all-female spacewalk. So that means from the International Space Station, there were 2 female astronauts who went together out on the spacewalk together. It's the first time that 2 women have done together. And they, of course, performed some various duties and maintenance and that kind of thing that they did. But it was a very important moment. And these female astronauts, as all astronauts would do, when they returned to Earth, they were told by NASA, you know, there are many things that you would have to do to, again, ground yourself and come back to a gravity environment of the Earth. And so they were told, take off your shoes and stand on the Earth and just feel yourself standing. Extend your arms upward. So not only are we grounding in the very earth, but we're extending the arms upward, and just feel your place. Feel that you're settled. Feel that this is your place. Understand where you stand on the earth once again. So we're going to start with that. And so I'll ask you to, maybe wherever you are, if you can stand up. It's nothing fancy. It's nothing too difficult, but you'll stand up. And maybe if you feel steady, you can close your eyes and just examine that idea of, where do I stand? So join me with this. I'll just stand up. I'm going to move. And I'm in a very nice place in the nature here. So what I'm going to do to start is just plant the feet and feel each of the 10 toes are connecting to the earth. You can keep the feet together or a little bit apart and just feel that steadiness. And you might close your eyes for a moment and just notice if the body is shifting a little bit, but feel yourself steady. Lift your head up. So the very way we stand is important. Head is back in line with the spine. Chest is open, shoulders relaxed, and just feel yourself standing there. You might ask the question, this is called Tadasana, actually, or mountain pose. So the idea is that the base is much broader than the summit. From the summit, of course, I have a perspective. I can see my environment, but the base is very steady, very grounded. And so you can take a moment here to imagine or to ask the question, where do I stand? And of course, breathing deeply as you do this. And then if you feel that steadiness, you can keep your eyes closed. If that steadiness is not there, you can always open your eyes and look into the distance straight ahead of yourself. Not looking at the ground actually, but looking straight ahead. And then if you feel comfortable, raise your arms up and you can just reach up. The hands can be a little bit apart. You're looking up a little bit and feel that you're at the same moment pushing down through the feet and lifting up, looking up, moving your eyes to look upward, your perspective upward. So feel that you're reaching up and pressing down at the same time. Of course, take a breath here. You can lower the arms now. And then we'll try one more thing from a standing position, and that is that I'm going to keep the feet together as they were, maybe a little bit apart for comfort. And I'm going to take a step back with one foot. It doesn't have to be a big step, so you can adjust for your own self if you're at home. The front leg is bent, the back leg is nice and straight. And I'm taking a lunge here. The chest is facing in one direction. And I'm going to do the same thing, raising the arms up beside the ears, looking up towards my hands, and just feel yourself. As the feet are now a little bit apart, feel yourself really stable, really steady, really grounded. And one thing that you can keep in your mind is that you're taking up space. This is an interesting concept. So sometimes we feel that we're not taking up space. Nobody is listening. Nobody is paying attention. Let's lower the arms now, and you can try the same thing on the other side. So stepping the feet back together, and just adjust at home if you're in your comfort level. Take a step back with one foot. Again, feel the back leg straight, the front leg bent, and feel your stance broadening yourself, taking up space. If you're comfortable, reach up. This is known as Virabhadrasana 1 or Warrior 1. And it's a very interesting way to stand because we feel as we do it a little powerful. So just breathing here for a moment if you're comfortable. Good. And again, you can lower the arms down, step the feet back together. And so I'm going to come back to sit now. And I hope that that experience of standing, although it's a small thing, although it's a subtle thing, it's a very important thing. Examining how much space do I take up. And it might sound like a funny thing to say, but as women, we're not used to taking up that space. We're not used to standing the feet broadly apart and feeling that groundedness. So in a way, we can't say that particular yoga practices bring empowerment. All of them do. And when we take up a practice of yoga, we want to do all of the practices in a sense. But this today was just a little test and investigation. Where do I stand? Do I feel comfortable taking up this space? And so we know that the very way that we place the body and how we hold ourselves and how we breathe, it has an influence on how we feel. So I'm going to close there today, but I'd like to consider that women's empowerment is an important thing. And of course, yoga has many things to offer, but it's not the whole story. So when we become a little stronger, we can use our own voices to help support other women. And only by bringing each other up, we can, I think, get to better position where we are heard, we are listened to, and we are considered within the structures. So that is a viewpoint today on women's empowerment, and I certainly hope all women to take up yoga and to feel that sort of self-confidence that comes as you feel the body able to do more things. You realize that in a sense I can do anything within my life. So I wish you all the best, and I hope to meet you at some point or another on the yogic path. And I'll end by just saying Om Namah Shivaya. Pranams to you.